also we don't need to do any physical exercise or any physical treatment or any medical even treatment. But we have to do all sorts of things which we try to help us to come out of this trauma. But we have to underline the main cause is forgetting the self, forgetting the true self, and attaching to the false image, identity, or attachment. And Mike was talking about a system crash, like he says, like in a computer, if you see, if there is a lot of informations and the informations are not really sorted properly, or it jams the computer, and too much of the data which is in the computer makes the system not to function properly, then the system will crash and then the computer will not function. So what's happening is now in our life, we keep creating this attachment every day in so many things around us. So like it might be a belief, it might be an idea, it might be possession, it might be position, it might be name, fame. We start to create a lot of them. And then when it's really becomes a lot in the consciousness, you know, where does in the consciousness, in the soul, it stays, this thing is in our subconscious. Then the subconscious is becomes so much loaded with a lot of false beliefs, ideas. Then what will happen is we really crash. That means we cannot able to function properly. The soul becomes so weak and sometimes even totally not performing any, unable to perform any proper physical activities. That means we will not be function, will not function at work properly, in our relationship, with our colleagues. Then we becomes a bit out of space. That means no one can even able to tolerate us that much. And then we be rejected from the world. And because you see, when you are not properly function in any organization, how long they can really tolerate that? Then, you know, maybe you'll be directed to treatments and help. But as I said, if we don't properly first identify some of the signs, like inability to remain calm, some of the signs, another sign is being reckless and antisocial behavior, or when we become really obsessive, when we have such obsessive behavior, when there is difficulty in concentration, when there is difficulty in making an accurate decision. So these are somehow we have to diagnose ourselves before really the system crash. That means we are really completely out of function. So when we are noticing all of this, some of the signs, and what we have to do is really we have to deal with it. You know, we need really to deal with it. If we don't deal with it, as I said, it becomes a bit too late. Probably it becomes irreversible. So out there in the world today, there are a lot of treatments, come to our spa, you will release your emotions, and there are regressional therapy. There are so many therapies which is out there, which is available. And I'm not saying they are not functioning, or even Mike didn't say that. It might help, but uh, unless and otherwise we understood the root cause of this trauma or this emotional disturbance, is another name now today is trauma, the emotional disturbance or the emotions, the conscious disturbance, which we call it emotion. And then unless properly understood that what it is, what is the cause, what will happen is temporarily we might get some relaxation, some physical um, reliefs, but the creator of that disturbance is still there because we are not dealing, because that is the soul, the ego is the one, the attachment is the creator of all those traumatic situations. So we are not dealing with it, then definitely it doesn't go away. It comes, it just keep coming again and again. So what is it really important, what we have to do? And the book says, being yourself. Huh? Being yourself, from the beginning of the book, Mike tries to point out that all emotions will fade away under the observation or under the light of pure consciousness. That means the effort in our journey really to let go of the ego or let go of all these emotions is to properly understand who we are and again tap that pure consciousness and radiate that light in our life. That's when the soul starts to radiate from the core, then all these attachments and disturbance of all these emotions start to fade away. Because the ultimate thing is understanding the ultimate truth about who is the soul or who am I. That if this definition is very short and very brief, like I am completely pure, peaceful soul. But the practice, as I said in the beginning, is the practice in silence and really to deep understand and feel that who you are is a lifelong journey. We don't need really to expand too much of knowledge and, or too many exercise. I believe this very specific and very powerful thing is to try to go to the depths of who we are and trying to experience that true, pure consciousness. So that's how, by the way, even Adiptiben was explaining about today some tips, seeing the pictures and when you are really focusing on these beautiful pictures, what you are triggered or what will be triggered is our pure consciousness, because from that beauty, there's always a feeling of love, a feeling of calmness, a feeling of peace. And all this, if we have find a way to really surface these things in our lives, that means we start to light a huge light on the emotions, and then the emotions start to fade away. That is very important. That's the only way actually we restore ego, and there is nothing else. But at the same time, when souls are really happy to do any of this therapeutic things which is available in the world, and they can do that, but ultimately, as I said, and if you focus on this, it will help. It will help very, very much, really, to fade, to, what can I say, that to remove or to be free from ego and to remove all emotions. So nowadays in the world, everybody's talking about emotion, but in a very, very distorted way, sometimes, which is completely, there are a lot of oxymorons about emotions. Like some people, they try to teach you emotionally, how to be emotionally secure. And you know what Mike says, that this is a big oxymoron, that when someone is in an emotional state, how can he be secured? You see, these two things, security and emotions, will not really match. To be secured is to be in that calm and peaceful state. So, but when you talk about emotionally secure, no, someone in emotion means in a disturbance. That means the consciousness is really disturbed. If the consciousness is disturbed, then there is no security. So, what is important in this is sometimes the method we are using will not really help us to reach our goal. You know, they said, like, one of the big oxymoron in the world is anti-war campaign. And then, okay, war is fighting, and then also I am anti-war, that means I am fighting war. Then how do we create peace? So the method should be very, very accurate to get the good result. So there is no as such which is called emotional security. The security is the pure consciousness. Again, I come back to that point of that the calmness, the peace, the purity of the consciousness is our security. It's not our emotion. We make it our emotion secured. No, it's impossible. So there are also another pointers, which is actually in the world now. There is a lot of, as I said, a lot of therapies and a lot of things which is available to help souls. They say this emotional health and well-being. Yes, but mostly what's happening is health is completely associated with body, but the well-being is in consciousness. But what they are in the world, and what's happening when they are dealing with it is, it's just about only the body part, which is actually will be dealt. And the well-being part is, which is so deep, and that is the consciousness, the pure consciousness, to build that, which is not something you will get it from outside, you know. It is something, again, Mike in his book says that what is in the way is the way. It's again how to recognize the emotions, and then shine the light of pure consciousness on those emotions, and then it will start to fade away. Then that wellness or well-being, the soul will become well when we are doing that. Otherwise, what happens is we try to treat the body, and definitely some of the physical illness probably might be, which is caused by the way, the emotionally traumatized, like or the trauma, what we call it, emotion, which is created by the disturbance of the consciousness, and it goes to the cellular level and creates some of body sickness. And then, okay, some of the body sickness may be suppressed by chemicals and with some exercises or some breathing exercises, but unfortunately will not, that the creator of that disturbance is still there. That means that false identification is, as long as it is there, then again we create that damage on the cellular level, and the physical sickness even will not be away forever. It is impossible. And then another point what he's talking about is emotional intelligence. Nowadays, there is a lot of courses, a lot of talks about emotional intelligence. And then it's, again, this is also another oxymoron. And it's really completely contradicting, because somebody, when his consciousness is disturbed, he cannot really be intelligent, or he cannot really accurately decide, accurately see things, discern things, because the consciousness is disturbed. That means that is emotional state means. So how can someone be intelligent? And then that's why now where they are trying to deal with emotion in a very bit confused way, and which doesn't really bring the real proper result, what is needed. And you can see there are a lot of also trying to control emotion, but as we talked, emotions are a disturbance in the consciousness. And then if you try to control or to suppress these things, it doesn't bring no difference. Rather, what will happen is the controlling or the suppressing really creates another emotional disturbance. That means it is also an ego which will be created, that I can destroy this emotion. But unfortunately, we cannot destroy the emotions, but the emotions would fade away. Again and again, we talk about on this book is the emotion only will fade away then when we properly understood where does they arise from. It is when you are closely seeing it and put the light of the true nature of the soul. Because when you know that where does it arise, ultimately, what did you say? That it will arise always from the attachment of something. And that attachment, it will not be released by controlling or force. It only be released by replacing it or by shining it, that light of peace, love, and purity. That is the only way we can I can say we can eliminate emotions, but we cannot control that. And another point also By the way, it is very helpful just to know some of the terms we are using too much, but it really doesn't properly sound correct. So emotional attachment. Now, a lot of people, they say, I'm emotionally attached. And they feel even, when they are talking about such kind of thing, maybe they feel to cry, they feel really disturbed a lot. But unfortunately, which comes first? Is the emotion comes first or the attachment comes first? Attachment creates the emotion. It's not you are emotionally attached with something, but attachment creates that emotion. So we should, when we understand that, you see, we are wrongly seeing something. That wrong belief, we recognize it. But if we bring the emotion first and then the attachment next, what happens is it seems that's naturally created, but it is not true. Naturally, we create only peace, love, happiness. We don't create emotions. Emotions are created from attachment. So that is a very, very important because, uh, it seems so true, like when you say, when children are affected, um, when I see children are affected, I'm really emotionally attached to children's sorrow. I don't want to see their sorrow at all. And then, it seems so true and so perfect, really, to have that soft nature or disturbance when children are affected. It seems very true. But unfortunately, ultimately, what is it really I attach to, which makes me disturbed? Rather, you see, a compassionate nature or a love, yes, we don't want to see them when they are affected, but the love, if I have that compassionate state, I will not get disturbed. But what makes me disturbed is my decision, my complete attachment of these things should not happen. That is the idea of no children should be affected. Or the other attachment is also, I am so much joyful when I am seeing children are happy and peaceful. Then that means their happiness and joyfulness is my source of peace and happiness. Their crying, it becomes now my crying. So it's very, very subtle and needs a lot of digesting this point to find out that some of the things which is really looks like it's true to be like that, but unfortunately our emotions cannot be true in any circumstances. So knowing that is very, very helpful. So now if you have any question, you are welcome, or any idea, any point for clarity. As you see that some of the thing which is really seems that it is true, we have to feel like that, emotionally disturbed because that is the truth at that moment. anyone should feel like that. But unfortunately, any disturbance cannot be true, because we all have such subtle attachment for some idea or belief. And that means we are taking from the external world. And we will stop taking from the external world. That is the time we become so peaceful and content. Any question? Any suggestion? What did you take? Nothing is triggered.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
No, thank you. Yes. I mean, I just like the way you analyzed the emotion, and how much we you clarified so much for me, in terms of, we cluster emotions with all these external factors so much and unawares, and that emotional attachment, wow, it's so important for us to really understand, where it's coming from. That's what I heard you say. And and that emotion are actually, it's a disturbance, that happens in my head, but created by external factors. And so my question is now, yes, it's good to be aware of it and all, but what is the solution? How does actually one go about, if it's me, I mean, you talked about emotional attachment to the children and so forth. If it's me, I have the resource now, I can do it for myself. But if it's someone else, and you can see it, that this person is struggling, and I'm looking at a thing like somebody who's a drug addict, for instance, the person is struggling, and you are so right, they would go to therapy and then they come back again. And so how different can those type of emotional attachment be approached to be more effective? Thank you. Please, if you can just help me on that. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Okay. There's a lot of therapies outside there, but from my personal experience, uh, these emotions, when are really layered a lot, by the way, it's a karmic account also. All the emotions it's a karmic account. When it is layered a lot, it's said that it's reached to the system crash, like the soul really, really reached to somehow irreversible state, that is complete absorbance on all the illusions of nature. So from my experience, when I came to knowledge, I can say I have such a huge belief that everybody should do everything right, and but what is right is, it's my own saying this should be done like this, and that is uncompromised, and then that gives a lot of pain, by the way. And I was really unable to work with a lot of people because I only want my way. Then what happens is, when I came to knowledge, this realization of who am I and what is a soul it opens a huge gate for me that after all, no mistakes will be done by the soul. It's just only by false belief of the self. That means the wrong nature always be created from the external attachment. And that blows my head. And puts a huge light becomes, happens is my acceptance of other souls is growing a lot. This is probably a very small thing compared to addiction to substances and huge problems. But again, I can advise that those souls, they have their own journey in life, by the way. And maybe it's my child, my husband, or my brother. So what we can do is, from what we learn, is we only can support the souls by giving them good vibrations. That means no blame, no critics, and no hate toward such kind of souls. That means naturally what happens if all these things are not there, it's a lot of love and compassion for those souls. And it melts somehow the consciousness of the souls. And again, the soul also, the victim soul also start to in touch of his true nature, that love, that peace, and that compassion. Somehow, this souls start to gravitate to have that interest of going to the deep nature of themselves, because they are start to get it from external somehow, but it triggers from internal. And then that's how they can grow. But again, I can say that the therapy is very important, and advice and all sorts of things is very important. But from us, as you asked, because how can we help? We only can help, as I said, no judgment, no critics, no hate, and just have this pure love for the source. Why we have this this feeling pure love is the truth is the souls are suffering. They are not the problem of my life. They are really suffering. Physically, yes, there are a lot of problems they create, but understand that because they are really suffering, they are really damaged, they are really emotionally victim, like not victim at all, emotionally disturbed. So from our side, that is the help we can do. That is the best way. Otherwise, there is no ready-made solution, or even if we do all these things, nothing cannot change probably for so long. But I can guarantee you that my strength is to tolerate the source, and the disturbance this source creating towards me will be less, and even zero, even if we are not having the capacity to change those souls. But the more I'm really connected with myself and give this vibration, the guarantee is I become more tolerant for such souls, and I become also will not be affected by what they are doing. If my answer is somehow clear. Okay, there is another.
No, thank you so much. The answer is so perfect. I really, really thank you so much. And I hope it helped most of us who are on this platform.
Yeah,
thank you.
everybody is in this situation nowadays because That's what is actually Mike also says that the current currency in the world, which is very available, is emotions, everywhere. Mm. So regarding emotional intelligence, does it not help if one is aware of what it means and tries to apply it as opposed to someone who lacks awareness and maybe ends up hurting other people? Yeah, that's what actually I was talking about because like these souls, for example, are affected, but and really going through a lot of tough time. But again, I am blaming them, complaining them, crying about them. What are we doing? We are putting oil on the fire. You see, that's how we do. So that's why we don't need to do such kind of things. Rather, it's very helpful to understand where my emotion arises and then to by the way, you don't even need to deep analyze uh, what is the attachment, what is really, where does the emotion comes from. But somehow now we recognize that its attachment is the problem. But the solution is one and one. The solution is to again and again find all the means to go back and tap to your true nature. And that means the light, which really dispel all the darkness. That means all the emotions. That is the point. So the another thing is, so there is our pure state or peace and love. Then there is attachment, identification with something external. Then this generates emotion, which is disturbance, turbulence. Yes, it is true. It is truly understood. Okay, properly understood. Anyone? So I think the time is up. So let me do a moment of silence and some contemplation together. Sit comfortably, sit relaxed, relax all your body. Release all the tensions which is hanging on your body. And again, ask this question, who am I? I am the pure consciousness situated right in the center of my forehead on this physical body. I recognize I am completely peaceful. There is a huge reservoir of peace in me. I am peace. The light, the peace in me spreads to the surrounding. to the source, to the nature, and brings calmness. I am a loveful being. I am full of love. And this awareness, I remember I have a support, a source which helps me to restore all my energies. The Supreme Soul, the source of all energies of pure love and connecting with the Supreme Soul will makes me powerfully peaceful or filled me with love. I am lovely, peaceful soul.